Hey, good morning. It's Brian up here in Kingfield, Maine. I got one to show this morning. This is a Fender, right? Well, kind of. This is a Harmony H165 that was branded with the Fender headstock. These were made between 1969 and 1971. If you Google it, Fender Guitars by Harmony, there's a really cool write-up by a guy named Nathaniel Adams who kind of goes into the history. Fender's never really been known for their acoustics much. You know, they did some outsourcing in the early days, then they started building their own. They've always been sort of a beach guitar, throw in the back of your car and don't worry about it. They're making some nicer ones now, but back in the day, they really concentrated on electrics. But they wanted to have some acoustics during that folk boom, and so this is an H165 Harmony. All solid mahogany, 25 and an 1/8 inch scale. Originally a ladder-braced model that Harmony put out. The H65 is a pretty bare-bones, triple-O size guitar. It had no binding, no binding, had ladder bracing, no adjustable truss rod. It had what they call the steel reinforced neck. Did have this cool mustache pin bridge, so that's kind of different than their Sovereign models with the string-through bridges. Brazilian rosewood fretboards. I'm assuming the bridge probably is too from that era. And, you know, it's a decent guitar. So then Fender came along and said, hey, we want you to build something for us, make it a little bit fancier. So in terms of fancy, all they did is they added an adjustable truss rod. They got the Fender logo on there. The headstock shape is slightly different. Same mustache bridge, same ladder bracing, and it had no binding. It did have a bound sound hole, and it did have this big funky cool pickguard on it. So what I decided when I got a hold of this, I've done a bunch of these, you know, Sovereigns and 167s and 165s. I thought what I would do is make this into what they call the Hellcat. So Fender now puts out a guitar called Tim Armstrong Hellcat. Well, I had to go look up who Tim Armstrong was because I'm almost 60 years old and kind of missed out on the punk ska stuff. I'm more of a classic rock, you know, Allman Brothers guy, but he's pretty good. I really enjoyed watching his YouTube videos. He's in a band called Rancid, and he plays kind of a ska, you know, punk thing, and really likes to play acoustic stuff as well. And apparently his favorite guitar when he was a kid was a 1960s, I'm assuming one of these, but it might have been an H165. So Fender made one, and what they've done is they added cream binding to it, and they put a pickup in it. And so that's what I did. And in the process, I also did my Resto-Mod treatment, which is full X-brace conversion. So the back came off. The back's really in clean shape. This is a pretty nice one when I got it. The back came off, and I shaved down the back braces from 5 to 4, because there's always one extra on these Harmonies. Take all the ladder bracing out of the inside, and then I put X-bracing on the top. With spruce tops, I generally thin them down to like 1/10 of an inch. This one I brought it down to about 0.105, 0.110, something like that. And then I do 1/4 inch Sitka spruce X-brace pattern in a standard Martin OM shape. 2 tone bars down at the bottom, side tone bars, maple bridge plate. And while I had it all apart, I put a Journey passive bridge plate mounted pickup. So just like a K&K Pure Mini, but it's actually got bigger feet. I think they're a little louder. I kind of like it. And it just accesses right to an end pin. No battery required. It's all passive. In order to get to this, obviously I had to take the neck off. And this one had had a funky failed neck reset attempt by somebody. Someone had drilled a hole right here, and they drilled a hole all the way down into the block, and then they put a big long bolt through it with a nut on the inside, and they tried to refit in a little tighter. Well, they might have gotten a micron of adjustment done that way, but that's not really the way to do a neck reset. So the bolt came out, the neck came off, shaved the usual heel material off the sides, and put shims in there, glued it all back into the place. Well, then I was stuck with this hole. I'm like, what am I going to do with that? So I decided to go ahead and put a big long bolt back in there, and I've got a, you look at my pictures, you can see it. You can't see in the video here, but there's a nice brass crown nut on the inside now, which is a little nicer looking than the big, ugly, nasty nut and bolt and lock washer that was in there. It is what it is. I mean, I wish it wasn't there, but I did plug it up with a nice piece of mahogany that's all sanded flush. It's finished over with True Oil. It is removable. It wouldn't take much to take it out. Drill a tiny pinprick hole and it'll pop right out. It's not glued in, just in there with friction. But it's holding it nice and steady now. Plenty of saddle left for adjustment in the future, and it's down to about 5/64 string action at the 12th fret, about 4/64 on the high E. So pretty nice. It's got a great sound, just plain, without any amplification at all. Inch and 3/4 nut, 2 1/8 string spacing. Makes a nice, comfortable fingerstyle. That's always a good one for checking intonation there. Now, the real super sauce is this. When you do plug it in, give it a little bit of reverb to go along with it. My fingers aren't warmed up yet. And then if you really want to get kind of rancid or Stone Temple Pilotsy, you know, you can just kind of... Anyway, that's about it. So 1969 to 71, Fender F1030, an H165 Harmony, basically all dressed up. X-brace converted, neck reset. Left most of the patina alone. You know, you can see some sort of splotchiness along the sides where some of the finish had been chipping. I seal this all up with True Oil. I just like wiping some True Oil on to keep, like there's a patch right there. It kind of keeps things from flaking at all anymore. All new binding, maple bridge plate, new bone saddle, factory tuners, original nut. I don't know, what else is there to say? Thing weighs about 3 pounds, 5 ounces. Very lightweight. Very affordable way to own a 50-year-old American-built, all mahogany, solid wood guitar. That would be a lot of fun to take to an open mic. So, hey, thanks for watching. See ya.